Let's go, NKO. Welcome, my knockout kings and queens, to the Nerd Knockout podcast. It is Tuesday, October 18, 2022, and this is a very special episode of NKO for a number of reasons. First off, it's the 15th episode, episode 15 already. I launched this humble podcast back at the end of August, and we're already at 15 episodes. Thanks for sticking around. And just yesterday, I finally updated NKO with official key visual artwork. It's our logo. It presents our initials in beautiful green, and myself, the Hype Man, kicking ass with my microphone and giant boxing glove. The concept was all my idea, but it was brought to life by my niece. So, special shout out and thank you to her. She is young but already so talented in illustrating. She did an incredible job bringing my vision to life. The other reason this is a big episode is because it's the first time I'm posting it on our brand new official YouTube channel. This with this episode, you finally get to see my new YouTuber avatar, and that I've been slaving away to perfect. It's a golden raccoon with oversized ears. I may change my avatar in the future, but for now, I like the way he looks. I think he's a cute little guy. Or should I say, I'm a cute little guy? Because it's me, right? I'm I'm a freaking raccoon now. At least on YouTube. That's the magic of YouTube and the internet and the metaverse. Anyway, hope you guys like the raccoon form of the Hype Man, and hope you enjoy this brand new video format for our podcast. I hope to reach an even larger audience by making podcast episodes available on YouTube's platform. And I'll still be putting out the podcast audio format on Anchor, Spotify, Amazon, Google, Apple Podcasts, and so many other platforms. Now, onward to the topic of today's discussion. It's a very cyberpunk episode. I really wanted to finally talk about Cyberpunk Edgerunners. The anime officially released on September 13, 2022 on Netflix. The full season came out at once. It's been around almost a month and a half now. I was going to talk about it when it was fresher news, when it just came out, but if you've been following NKO, you know various things happened here and there, and I've had to put it on the back burner until now, unfortunately. So, what I'm going to report today isn't going to be the newest news. It's going to be a little stale, but who knows? Maybe some of you still haven't gotten around to trying Cyberpunk Edgerunners, so this little episode might be useful to you. Some news that caught my attention about this anime is that it played a huge part in the resurgence of the game Cyberpunk 2077, from which the anime was adapted. Now, Cyberpunk 2077 is a game that I enjoyed immensely back when the people were hating on it when it first launched late 2019, early 2020. Sure, the game frustrated me with bugs and crashes that would happen constantly, and that pissed me off, and many other people as well. But even with all its technical problems, there was still a lot to love about that game, and I did not regret purchasing it. Even though it was seriously review bombed and hated on by many people, I still knew that it was a hell of a game. I could tell a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into it from the game's developer CD Projekt Red, because it's set in this huge open world with many, many layers. And you can really dig deep into the world and spend hours and hours playing in it. It's some of the best motorcycle traversal I've ever gotten to try in a game. Now, I'll also be one of those people who admit that it didn't meet all of my hopes and expectations that I had before the game's release. But the game was so hyped up for a number of years that it's hard not to expect it to be absolutely, top tier, life changing um, in that way. But even though it didn't live up to all that hype, I can tell you that it was still really enjoyable for me. That's what I want to impress upon you. There was an article on Forbes that was released on September 19th, which is almost exactly a month ago from when I'm recording this episode. And I wanted to quote a huge chunk of that article for you. The title reads, Cyberpunk 2077 is now at a 550 player count jump as it nears 100,000 concurrents. Quote, an anime series, a patch, and a sale. All three of these things have combined to give Cyberpunk 2077 a new lease on life nearly 2 years after its release in December 2020. While once upon a time it broke concurrent player count records on Steam, that faded quickly as players either ditched the game for not being what they wanted at launch or beat it and moved on. But now, Cyberpunk 27 seems to be having its No Man's Sky moment, where enough has been fixed and added to the game to convince people to return to it or hop in it for the first time. The incredibly well received Netflix anime series, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, has inspired some people to return on its own, and Cyberpunk released a patch at the same time that included some small Edgerunners content, but also long requested quality of life features like transmog, and the game's first truly new quest since launch. Combine that with a 50% off sale, and here we are. A month ago, Cyberpunk 2077 had around 15,000 concurrent players during its weekly highs. This weekend, Sunday brought 85,000 players, and the game may not be done yet, as things are rising today on Monday here. That's about a 550% increase in a month's time on Steam. And you can see CDPR developers celebrating all over Twitter that their game is being given another look. Quoting Pawe Sasko on Twitter, thank you so much, Chooms, for this second chance. End quote. So, I don't know if you call this a Cinderella story or maybe a Count de Monte Cristo story for seeing this kind of resurgence happening with a game. It's a beautiful story, in my opinion, that just doesn't happen. I can't recall an anime ever having such a positive impact on its game source material like it did in this case. Anime is a strong medium. It's a powerful type of expression, powerful type of artwork, and to see it inspire people to give a game another try or to try it for a first time after all the naysayers and hate for it for 2 years is nothing short of miraculous. And I'm happy for CD Projekt Red. I'm happy that the developers can finally feel appreciated after all of their crunch, after all of their sacrifice to bring this game out for others to enjoy. Now, there's word that Cyberpunk 2077 has now been greenlit for a sequel. And yeah, that might take several years to come out, but the fact that this game was able to come back from the dead in this kind of way, again, it's miraculous, and I'm excited. I'm excited for whatever the future may hold for the Cyberpunk franchise. And to bring it back to loving the anime, the incredible Edgerunners anime. I'm not gonna spoil too much of what happens in the anime, but I will say it's very mature. It's very gritty, and as you would, expect from an anime adapted from the Cyberpunk 2077 game, which is a very mature and dark, gritty game. But it's also a completely different story than the video game. It's a completely new cast of characters, and it's a very engaging, suspenseful story with a lot of heart. And it takes that lore that was built into the game and it creates a story out of the lore and the sci fi technology within that world to create a science fiction piece that stands on its own 2 feet. Studio Trigger was definitely the right call in turning this game into an anime. For those of you who don't know, Trigger is responsible for a lot of amazing work. I don't know if they've really done anything that's not good. They're known for Kill La Kill, Gurren Lagann, Little Witch Academia, Gridman, Darling in the Franxx, and so many other works. And I want to point out that Kill La Kill especially has that same familiar feeling of insane mayhem and destruction that you see in Edgerunners, where you're not caring so much about things looking photorealistic. You're just immersed in a world for a hyper heart attack inducing time. The difference with Edgerunners is that they go full mature with their aesthetic. There's a lot of blood, lots of gore, lots of death, lots of violence, in a way that Kill la Kill was not able to express. The series went straight to Netflix, and things on Netflix can be just as mature and adult as any R rated movie that comes out in theaters. So that's the kind of over the top adult brutality that we got with Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and I love it. And I could go on and on about how well made the characters are, how beautiful the relationships in the anime are, how insanely fun and crazy the action scenes are, how I had to replay them over and over again to catch or try to catch exactly what kind of physical movement was going on screen, because it's that kind of breakneck speed. Again, it's my kind of anime, and it's definitely, without a doubt, one of the best anime of this year. Now, I know I tend to use superlatives here on NKO, but that's because I tend to only talk about the stuff that I really enjoy. And this is one of those things that I actually love and recommend to anyone, even if you're not a huge fan of anime, even if you've never played the game. It's just really, really well made as a piece of science fiction, and I think anyone can really gravitate towards the story that it's throwing out there. So yeah, please give it a look if you haven't yet. If you're like me, you won't regret it. If I was to give it a star rating, it's 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 10. It's amazing. I wanted to end this by saying that Edgerunners is just one of the amazing fall anime that have come out in the last month. We've already seen a few episodes in this season's anime. Again, as I said in the last NKO episode, I'm loving Chainsaw Man. Again, I want to give a shout out to Spy Family. It's been as good as ever. And Bleach. Oh man, Bleach. I also I feel I need to dedicate an episode to that anime because that is kicking ass as well. Its second episode was wild and way more violent than the original Bleach anime. So yeah, anime fans, especially action anime fans, are eating good this season. And it's funny to note that the blood and gore go hand in hand with the spooky Halloween time. Like they planned to do it that way. It's the perfect time for all that fictional murder, blood, and guts. Hope you are enjoying it as much as I am. And that wraps it for episode 15 of NKO Hopefully, we'll be back again this Friday to chat more. Until then, that's all for now. I'm your host, the Hype Man, signing off. Reminding you to enjoy your otaku life.